Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And we're going to be talking about kefir grains today and the 7 ways you can use extra kefir grains. Now, I love my kefir grains, and they love me. It's really true. I've been using them for 20 years, over 20 years, maybe 21 years. But they never cease to amaze me with everything they can do. But I think they're keeping me young because of the kefir that I consume every day. And kefir grains themselves are made up of different species of bacteria and yeast. And those are good yeast, because we don't talk a lot about yeast, but you need good yeast too. And within the cell walls of these kefir grains, which are cellulose microfibrils, they are embedded in a polysaccharide matrix that consists of proteins, and they're kind of rubbery, like they have a rubbery feel to them. And kefir grains are multi-complex microorganisms. They're mostly fiber and protein. That's what they mostly are. And they're made from milk caseins, and I do love them for all they've done for me. And milk caseins are different. They're the kind of the part that creates the curd in milk that makes cheese and things like that. And that's what milk kefir grains contain, a lot of that in them. And they grow and multiply like crazy, and they have they'll last forever if you take care of them. And they're wonderful little tiny combinations of bacteria and yeast that ferment your food in your kitchen. They do all the work and you get all the benefits, and I love them. So here's one of the questions I get asked a lot. Can you eat kefir grains? Yes. And they have a lot of wonderful properties, including minerals such as calcium and phosphorus. And Kefirin is one such property that abides on the surface of kefir grains. And this is what kind of makes them gooey. And sometimes they can get a little slimy. And if they get a little slimy and stringy, it's just because there's probably been a change in your temperature and they've probably gotten warm. And so when they do that, the yeast get a little more dominant, and then they can get a little bit more slimy feeling. It's not bad. It just means they're probably fermenting faster. So you can cut down on your fermenting time. And this little gooey surface, it's a polysaccharide, and it's constructed of galactose, and glucose. So it is produced by certain microbes, such as Lactobacillus brevis and other Lactobacillus species that live and abide on the kefir grains themselves. Now, the studies on kefir grains, there are many studies showing beneficial properties of Kefirin. And this is the stuff that's on the outside of the kefir grains. And things like anti-tumor, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, anti-obesity, and it even has healing abilities for wounds. And I have studies for all these. So if you want to see the studies for click the link. I'm going to leave a link in the description below, and you can click it. You can look on the article, and at the very bottom of the article, I have all the references that I've used in this. Now, more studies done on Kefirin show that it significantly suppresses the increase of blood pressure and reduces the serum cholesterol levels in mice and rats, and significantly reduces constipation. Now, one of the main reasons that I drink kefir is because it keeps my blood pressure low, and it naturally does that. And if I go off of it for 4 or 5 days, my blood pressure starts to rise. And many studies have said that it works on it works like an ACE inhibitor drug in the gut. It's an enzyme in the gut that it works on. Kefir does, that lowers blood pressure in 1 out of 3 people. And honestly, guys, it's the main reason that I drink it, because, well, now it's not just that. It helps with blood sugar. It prevents any kind of like cold or flu. I just don't get sick anymore. It does so many things for me. But the main reason I started drinking it was because it lowered my blood pressure. And it's done that in so many people that I've helped. And I mean, there's not a lot of things out there that can significantly do that. And I didn't want to go. Everybody in my family when I was growing up was on blood pressure medication. And so I knew it was a problem for me. And I had blood pressure problems when I had my children. And I knew that that was going to be a thing that was going to be a significant issue for me as I got older when I was younger. But the thing about it was I wanted to know why my blood pressure was going up. What was I doing? What was I in my life? What was I eating? What was I, how was I exercising? What was I doing that was making my blood pressure rise? And one of the things that I found was I wasn't absorbing enough magnesium, which is a very big problem for most people. That was a lot of it. But when I had kefir, it seemed to bring it all the way down. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was doing until I did some studies on it. And now it doesn't work for everybody, but it does. They said 1 out of 3 people it works on. But I've done a lot of research over the years on this. And there is so much evidence that your gut microbiome affects everything from longevity. I just wrote an article this week about longevity and kefir, and there is much evidence that whatever is in your gut is going to determine your longevity in life. And many of these people who have lived to be over 100, which were in Japan, they did studies just recently, 2021, in Japan, and then they did them in Sardinia, Italy. And they have a high number of people who've lived to be over 100. And in both cases, they had very different species in their guts than the younger people and people who weren't living to be as old as they were. And it was interesting because these species they had in their guts helped them to work. There were specific types of bacteria in their gut that kept away illness. But not only that, worked with short-chain fatty acids in the body and in the bile and all of these things that regulated cholesterol and blood pressure, and it kept them healthy. And you'll have to take a look at that. That's coming out this Sunday. But I have seen that. I'm getting older. I'm 60. How old am I? 61. And I have reset my gut. This last year, I decided to reset my gut like in a really powerful way, with specific foods and kefir and all these things in a really powerful way. And guys, I couldn't believe the difference. In 3 days, I felt like I was 20 years younger. And so I continued to do those things, and it's all about feeding your gut microbiome. And I started doing very specific things, and I'll get into that later on in some of my articles and stuff, because it's so interesting that it's so easy to do, and you just use food. And your gut, for every 100 grams of fiber that you eat, you make 30 grams of bacteria. So for I'm singing the praises of fiber. I always have. Fiber is prebiotics, things like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grain, but there are very specific ones that feed the gut very specifically and feed specific species that you want to grow and multiply as you get older, because you start to lose those species and you want to feed them and make them stronger. And kefir is a great way to do that. I think it's one of the reasons I feel as young as I do. I have everybody I know that's my age is like talking about retiring. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I just am like, I don't want to retire. I've got stuff to do. I feel like I have a whole new lease on life, that I can just keep going. And I plan to do that. So, but one of the reasons I do that is because of kefir. It has made all the difference in my life. And there are so many studies on, the beneficial properties in kefir grains themselves, not just the kefir that it makes. But it shows that it is a commonly functional food for the gut. The gut loves it. It feeds certain strains, and it allows the good bacteria to grow and multiply in a very, very powerful way, because kefir has 50 plus good bacteria, where yogurt has 3 to 7. So yogurt's good too. I love yogurt too. But kefir has so much more bang for its buck, and it's easier to make. And it's so accessible. I mean, it takes 24 hours and you have a jar of kefir, and it doesn't take very much money, and it's sustainable. And I read this one study that found that kefir grains actually have fewer probiotics than finished milk kefir. So the part you drink, the kefir grains are higher in good yeast than the bacteria, but not by much, just a little bit more. You need those good yeast too, like I said before, to keep you in balance. But during fermentation, it seems that the bacteria becomes more dominant over the yeast. It gets stronger. So bacteria works in numbers. So the more good bacteria you have, and in numbers, the more it dominates. So it dominates over the yeast, which you really kind of want because your body does that. Your body has more good bacteria than good yeast, and you want that. It keeps you in balance. However, in this study that I read, they admitted that it's difficult to find the exact number of probiotics in the kefir grains themselves because it's so complex, the polysaccharide matrix structure of kefir grains. Scientists just don't know what to do with them. They've tried to, reproduce them. They can't. They've tried to make them. They can't. You just got to get kefir grains from somebody. You can't really make or produce them. So now, if you make kefir every day, you're going to get a lot of kefir grains because they're going to double in about a week. And if you get too many, don't throw them out. I have 7 ways to enjoy them, and you'll receive the benefits of these little powerhouses too, not just the finished kefir product. And if you want to eat your kefir grains, they actually taste pretty good. But they have kind of a gummy texture that's kind of off-putting to some people. So don't throw out your kefir grains. They're good for you, and they have a lot of benefits. I'm going to tell you about them. And you're going to love those little kefir grains. They're the cultured food with the most probiotics and the most benefits. And I've been having it for 2 decades. So if anyone's going to get messed up, it's going to be me, and I haven't. So, okay. So here's the 7 ways to use your extra kefir grains. Number 1, you can feed them to pets. You can feed them to goats, cows, chickens, cats, and dogs. Chickens love these things. And I get, so many hundreds of emails from subscribers who give their pets not only kefir, but they give them the extra kefir grains, and they kind of fight over them. It's kind of cute. Most pets love them too, but if yours isn't into it, you can sneak it into their food, or you could just give them regular kefir because it's so good. We have the sweetest letter from people with animals that kefir has helped, especially kefir, dogs, cats, birds, horses, cows, and it's a very special. There was one cow who was a baby cow who had lost its mom and wasn't thriving very well. And this one girl took the cow because they were going to get rid of the cow. The owner she took it and raised it and gave it kefir, and it thrived. And it's one of the sweetest cows she said she's ever had. And so that was interesting to me that even cows do well with it. Now, number 2, you can share your grains. You can give your kefir grains to your friends. I've wrapped them up in a gift, like a jar with a ribbon around it at Christmas time to give to people. I've just given away thousands of kefir grains. But, it's just great. If you have them, it's a great way to give back to people to help them. And they keep reproducing, so you'll always have plenty. Number 3, a kefir grain smoothie. This is the one I most commonly use. I add them to my smoothies. It's my favorite way to reuse kefir grains. I just put them in the blender because you never know, they're in there because they just get all blended up. And I've been doing this for years. It makes your kefir smoothie slightly thicker. No one in my house is the wiser. And I have 3 smoothie recipes if you want them. I'm going to put them in this article on the link description below so you can see that. But I make this all the time. Okay, number 4, a kefir grain smoothie bowl. Now, in the summertime, I make smoothie bowls. It's similar to a smoothie, but it has more frozen fruit, so you can eat it with a spoon. And I have this I have it probably 4 or 5 times a week. It's ridiculous. I have it all the time. So this last week, I had it every day. There wasn't one day I didn't have it. But what I do is I take a cup of kefir, and I have the recipes in the link description below. I have a cup of kefir, maybe a cup to a cup and a fourth to a cup and a half, depending on how thick I want it, usually a cup and a half of frozen fruit. And I just throw it together in a blender and make a bowl. I usually add collagen to it because I like it. It really helps me. And it just makes the best smoothie bowl. It's like ice cream to me. And I do that all the time, especially in the summer. Now, kefir grain dips. I have a lot of kefir grain dips on my website, but I also have a new ebook out for my Body Pro members. I can't remember how many dips. It's at least 30 dips in there. And we just blend up the grains in the dip, and they just taste great because you can't taste them there. You can't recognize them in there because they're all blended up. And beans and tahini paste are prebiotics, and fermented garlic and kefir grains are probiotics. So a lot of these dips I have with beans or tahini or kefir cheese. And I put them, in these books. I have a lot of them on my website. And August, this is the last month for my books, my dip book for this month. It goes off August 30th. Oh, here, I have 40 recipes. I looked it up. So we have a white bean kefir grain hummus recipe that's delicious. If you like hummus, you will love this. And like I said before, it has tahini and beans, and it's just got a little garlic in it. It's delicious. So that is fabulous. My dips are probably some of the most eaten things in my house. My Kefir Onion Dip is ridiculously easy. It is better than store-bought onion dip, and it's to die for. We have it, especially with football season coming up. I make gallons of this stuff, and they eat so much of it. I can't keep it in the house. It's gone. I barely get any because they just eat it so fast. They love it so much. It's really good. You basically are just caramelizing onions and mixing it with kefir cheese and a few other little things, and then chilling it, and it is fabulous. So check that out. And that's free for everybody. That's on my website. It's called Ron's Kefir Onion Dip. Now, another thing that we do is we add them to our compost. If you don't eat them, you can always add them to your compost pile. Compost loves that extra bacteria in there that helps break down the soil into all kinds of nutrients. And it makes it a very rich soil. So it makes it, compost easily and efficiently. And these bacteria will improve your soil in your garden, like immensely, because the earth is filled with good bacteria and all kinds of things that you need. Actually getting in touch with, walking around barefoot or getting out in the garden, you're getting microbes when you do that. And they're so helpful for you. They're soil microbes that are so good for you. And they help, microbes are essential to the soil. What they do is they convert nitrogen to an edible source for plants, and your plants love it. So that's what the microbes do in the ground. They help the plants grow, which you eat the plants and then you get better. So, it's a great thing to do to put your grains in your compost pile. Okay, number 7, last one, freeze your extra kefir grains. To freeze your extra kefir grains, you don't want to do this very often because if you do it more than once or twice a year, the grains can die. They don't like to be thawed and frozen a lot. But if you need to go on vacation or if you have too many, you can put them in a jar with the amount of milk you'd regularly use and leave a little room at the top for the expansion when it freezes. And you could store it in a glass or food-grade plastic jar with a lid and place it in the freezer, but leave the lid a little loose until it freezes and then screw the lid on tighter. And you can store them like this for several months or up to a year if you have a lot of grains. However, you will have fewer grains when you recover them and you thaw them. Once they thaw and strain, make sure you give them fresh milk. They're going to diminish because they've been frozen. But after making kefir a few days, they should be fine. They perk back up, but it takes a few days to get them going again. You'll need to discard any milk that they were stored in. You just take them out of the freezer and let them thaw and then get rid of that milk they were in. You don't want to freeze and thaw them too much. Once a year is plenty. And when you do thaw them, you should add a little scoop of Prebio Plus, which is a prebiotic that you can eat and consume, or you can put in your kefir, and it just give them a little tiny bit, a little smidge of it. It helps wake them up. It gives them extra food. It makes them healthy and makes them fat again. And it makes a big difference, and it helps to make your kefir extra creamy. So that makes a big difference. Even if you're making kefir, add a little bit of that, and you can find that product on my website. It's just a prebiotic, which is made out of inulin, fructooligosacchariide, acea, and then there's another one in there. I can't remember what the last one is. There's 3 different prebiotics, but essentially they are made from things like Jerusalem artichoke, the peel of lemons. These prebiotics are on the skins of these types of fruits and vegetables, and they're like from garlic. Garlic has a lot of inulin, so does Jerusalem artichokes, so does leeks, things like that, and it's made from that. And it basically is food for your bacteria. It's like fertilizer, and it makes your good bacteria grow. And when your good bacteria grows, the pathogens have to leave the body. They don't have any room to survive. And bacteria, like I said, works in numbers, so it goes after the harmful bacteria because it has enough numbers. The more good bacteria you have, it goes after it, kills it, destroys it, makes it exit the body. And that goes for bad yeast too, like Candida. It keeps that all in balance the more good bacteria you have. And you want that because that is how you stay healthy. And a lot of these people that are living to be over 100 are living proof that their gut microbiome is different from people who don't live that long. And I can feel the difference in my own body. I can feel the difference in how I feel every day. I feel pretty young. I feel like I'm in my 30s. I feel better than I did probably in my 30s because I wasn't as healthy back then. But I was out, working and hauling bricks today because I was trying to make a thing down. We have a barn, and I was trying to make a pathway out of these big bricks, and I was carrying a whole bunch of them at a time. And I didn't want to come in and do my podcast because I wanted to stay outside and do it. And I didn't want to do that when I was younger because I didn't feel good. And here's the deal, guys. If you are lacking energy and you're feeling tired all the time, that is your body's cry for help. Okay? That is your body saying something's not right. You shouldn't be tired all the time. And if you are, because I used to be that way, so I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just saying that's a warning sign that you need to eat a lot more fruits and vegetables. Get some cultured foods in your diet, and get rid of the processed junk food. It makes all the difference in the world. And then your body starts to crave it, and it's not hard. You want those foods. And I know if everybody was eating healthy, everybody would eat healthy. Do you know what I'm saying? But if everybody ate foods that didn't have preservatives and chemicals in them and were foods from nature that had enzymes and things, and I'm not a big proponent of any particular diet because I've done them all, and they don't, everybody's different. Everybody has different things, but I do know that we need to eat more whole, real foods. And we need to eat more fruits and vegetables that have fibers and greens and things like that because they feed our microbiome. And I think you need protein, especially as you get older. I think you need that. I think it's important that you get good protein. And I think you need good fats because your cells have got those fats in them and they hang on to them. So you want to have healthy things. But when you have all those, your body lets you know that it's doing good. You have a lot of energy. And you should have a lot of energy. And if you don't, then something's going on that you need to address. And I've been there, so I'm not criticizing anybody because I know what that's like. But I can change that. You can change that all around. And it could start with your next meal. Your microbiome could shift in the next meal, but your energy level can also start to change rather quickly if you feed it the things that it needs. And you can see that. You might go through a little detox period, but see, your body gets, okay, so you get these foods and you eat these foods. And let's say you're eating some junk food or something. Your body doesn't really like those things because it can't assimilate them because it has a lot of things in them that it's not natural to the body, whether it's chemicals or preservative. So it takes that, it does the best that it can, and it takes those foods that you're eating and tries to assimilate them, takes them into your cells, and it tries to help you with them. And so what happens is it makes cravings. So then you want those foods again. So then when you stop eating those foods, then you get a detox. And so then your body starts to detox from those foods, and it starts to make you crave them because that's what it was trying to do before, was assimilate them. So when you put in whole, real foods, then your body starts to crave them. But it takes a good 2 or 3 days of stopping the junk food to start to crave healthy foods because your body's got to eliminate those things and stop the cravings, and then it creates new cravings from the new food you're eating. So it takes a little bit of willpower, but it does get easier and easier over time. And before you know it, you don't want those foods anymore. And I'm living proof of that because I've done that so many times. It's so amazing to watch your body do that. Your body's trying to help you all the time. It'll even take stuff that's harmful to you and try to work with you and try to, you're going to get cravings and stuff from it, but it tries to keep these harmful things out of your organs, and it does everything it can to keep you healthy until it gets overloaded. And once it gets overloaded, it makes you tired, it makes you sluggish. Your body can't handle these chemicals and pesticides and, preservatives. It can't handle it. It wants real food. And so that's when you start to get into disease because you have basically clouded up your cells with foods that aren't good for it. The reason that people crave these foods is that a lot of them are so nutrient deficient that your body makes you crave them to eat more to get more nutrients. You cannot eat a whole bag of bananas, but you can eat a whole bag of chips. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just, you'll stop. You won't overeat it. And so it's just really, if you can kind of put your logic to it a little bit and start to understand it, guys, wellness should be the norm, not the exception. And it's starting to become the exception and not the norm. Your body is this miraculous machine, and it is so cool the things that it does. And it works with me, and it's constantly showing me what, it does the best with, by my energy levels, by that kick in my step, by how my muscles work, by the joy that I feel, because I don't want you to underestimate this. The joy that I get from the foods that I eat, I can't control it. It makes you happier. It makes you, when I can remember years ago, before I started eating good, I would get anxiety and those types of fearful thoughts and dark thoughts. And once you start feeling good and you have energy, my son told me the other day that I was annoying because I was so happy at breakfast. But because I have so much energy, it makes me happy. And you want to do stuff. You know what I mean? I was wanting to go use a chainsaw to cut down some trees, and my husband about fell over because I was like, he doesn't have time to do it. I was out there with this thing thinking I could do this. And you know what? Here's the thing. I can do it. Do you know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't do it if I didn't have energy. So I really want that for you. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm watching all these people just can't wait to retire. I don't want that because I have something that I think will help you. I want people to feel like this. I want people to have not only feel good and have energy, but I want them to have that joy that makes it fun to get up in the morning to think about what you can do. It's my purpose for being. I told my husband the other day, it's my purpose here because so many people don't have this, and I have it, and I have to tell them. It's the reason I don't put ads on my site. I can't stand them, guys. They drive me crazy. They dilute the message. They make me money, but I just don't want them because I want people to come to my site and see the stuff. And we've worked so hard to make our site easy to read. My web guy has made me the most beautiful templates for my website to make it not only easy for me, it makes it fun for me, actually. I like doing it. But it makes it easy for you to find the things. I put in things in headlines so you guys, it'll pop out and you guys say, oh, I just want to read that. So you don't have to read everything if you don't want to. I do it because somebody's got to help people to have a message to know that there's hope, that there's help, and that they can feel like they were when they were younger, and they can do things that they never thought they could do. Because guys, I think it's possible. I know it's possible. It's happening to me. It's so exciting to me. And I want to share that with you. So it's kind of I don't do things like everybody else. I try not to, but I only do the things I love. And one of the things I really love is you, because you have changed my life too. We've kind of been in this like co-creation thing together, because if you didn't want the information I was giving out, then I wouldn't do it. And it has made my life pure joy to know that somebody feels better because they tried kefir, or somebody's changed their life around. And I have so many stories on my Life's Touch page of that happening. And it is the greatest. I think we are designed that way to help one another. And everybody has special gifts. You know, I love the things that people do that I love to watch, whether it's decorating or, people gardening, and they have all these great YouTube things and blogs and websites. They help me because it gives me joy. And that's what I'm trying to do for you. I'm just keeping the ads off because I can't handle it. I may be the only person, people tell me I'm stupid, but I can't handle it. I cannot have flashing stuff on my website. So only my flashing stuff. So anyway, to say all that, I do this because I love it, because it's made all the difference for me, and I want it to make the difference for you. Don't spend your life not feeling good. It's not worth it. There's a better way, and it's not that hard, and I can help you. And it can make all the difference in the world. And when you feel better, you do better. And you can change everybody's life around you. It just is inevitable. Your light will shine. So anyway, okay, I'll get off of that. But thanks for listening, guys. I hope this helped you. I hope that it will inspire you to maybe just take some small steps. Just make a kefir smoothie, or just stick some of your kefir grains in your smoothie. It can make all the difference, just one step at a time. I love you guys. You have a good week, and we will see you next week.